Call a meeting to order, November 20th, 2024. It's 7:02 right now. Roll call, please.
Owen Costanza,
Here.
Dan Cheek,
Here.
Austin Davies,
Here.
Bruce Moore,
Here.
Betsy Straw, here, Jeff Goings,
Here.
Stuart Diamond,
Here.
Don Sattler,
Here.
Karina Boyd, here, somewhere, I can't see her behind the elves, and Chris Dobbins.
Here. It stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to approve phone participation. Move to approve phone participation. Second. Owen, second by Dan. Roll call vote to approve phone participation, please.
Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Betsy Straw, yes, Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Jeff Goings,
Yes.
Austin Davies,
No.
Owen Costanza.
Yes. All right, phone participation by Jeff Goings is approved. Moving on, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move to approve tonight's agenda.
By Owen, I don't know, I think Dan beat you to the second there. Roll call vote.
If I could make some amendments.
Yes, go ahead.
Can we move the comp plan from discussion from number on the executive session? Jeff won't be here for the discussion. Move that next month.
Okay.
That's Strike executive session.
Strike executive session, move on to number 9, 5. Roll call vote to approve those amendments to tonight's agenda. Okay, we got a second to the changes then? Oh, second. Okay, then we got a second by Dan again. Now roll call vote to approve those, barring any other commentary.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Austin Davies,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
Yes.
Betsy Straw, yes, Jeff Goings, Bruce Moore.
Yes. It's approved to strike executive session. 9 up to 5. And now do we have I guess. Okay, roll call vote to approve the agenda as amended.
Jeff Goings, Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Betsy Straw, yes, Austin Davies,
Yes.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
It's amended. We have a motion to approve the Board of Trustee meeting minutes from October 16th, 2024.
Move to approve minutes from October 16th, 2024.
By Owen. Second. Second by Dan. Yes, Austin.
I have one amendment to make. Move to amend those minutes. Number 1, under approval of minutes, 6th line down, which reads, motion made by Trustee Cheek, seconded by Finance Chair Goings. That should be motion made by me, Trustee Davies, and seconded by Finance
Motion is to amend the minutes to reflect that Austin Davies made the motion and seconded by Jeff Goldman. 6 lines down.
I'll second that.
Okay, and seconded by Owen. Great. Austin, Jeff Goings has a question. Go ahead, Jeff.
Why is it every meeting Trustee Davies cannot follow what the board asked for to send an email to the clerk, real simple, of the changes that he would like to have made by the clerk and the wording that he would prefer to have made by the clerk. Why every meeting do we have to continue to go?
I think we'll just move on with a roll call vote to approve as motion.
Well, it's not all rules. It's what the board decided. Together as a board.
It's okay, just move on.
All right, roll call vote to approve the amendments.
Betsy Straw. Yes. Jeff Goings. Bruce Moore.
Yes.
Dan Sheet.
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Motion to adjust the 6th line down, showing Austin Davies made the motion and Jeff Goins made the second. Moving on, public comment. Do we have any public comment? All right. Moving on to department reports. Chris, you're first on the list, engineering report. We have a little brief email I saw. We got some fire hydrant issues and other stuff.
Yes, Murphy's Law is still working. So, in case you didn't read the report, the hydrant at the corner of Bullard on the west end is starting to leak a little bit. So we're getting pricing to replace it. There's a guardrail there. There's a telephone pole, 2 guy wires. There is just an absolute plethora of utilities going through that area. There's gas. I think there's 2 gas services that kind of go through there. There's a couple foam pedestals there, and we have no idea which way the hydrant lead goes, if it goes towards the west or if it goes towards the south. So, and we really can't remove that hydrant in full. We're going to end up having to cut it off about a foot below grade and then kind of just grout the ends of it and leave the riser pipe and the lead in place because it's too close to that telephone pole to excavate. So hopefully we'll have pricing for the next meeting. If it turns into emergency, we'll have to take care of it before then.
Where's Winters coming?
Yeah. And we just repaved Bullard. So Murphy's Law, still working.
Any questions on the engineering report?
Did you say?
Dan, why don't you go ahead first, then we'll get to Jeff.
Did you say you might be able to cut it below grade and repair from there on out? Is that what you said?
No, we have to put a new hydrant in, but the old hydrant, we'll take the hydrant off and then we'll cut that riser pipe about a foot below grade and just grout it. Because we can't pull that riser out
Right.
without compromising
Is there
this.
anything you can, just avoid cutting up the road?
I think we can.
All right.
We're gonna try.
All right, Jeff.
My question doesn't pertain to that, Chris. I think it tagged a lot on social media about ComEd and our light poles. There's about two of them, one down and one with no light on Sherman Lane, a few other ones. I was wondering if you have a contact at ComEd because I've self-reported them on their website. Residents have self-reported them on their website, but it doesn't seem like we're getting any response from ComEd. So I was wondering if there was someone that you could reach out as our engineer and see if we could get these things fixed before wintertime comes.
Hey Jeff, I don't have a contact directly, but I know who to ask. So I'll ask around, okay?
I'd appreciate it. It's been the one down has been over a year on Sherman Lane in the 300 block.
You don't want to
So
rush
if
right
we
to it.
could,
All right.
No problem.
All right, moving on, public works report, David Hall is not here today. It was, to, buying, hoist for that snowplow truck that we got, when we got the new bed. Apparently it's corroded real bad, I don't know if anybody's heard about that.
I read your report. Yeah. Jeff, did you get a chance to see that email?
I did see it. I did see the dollar amount.
30s.
I wasn't sure of another part where you could fit a picture. We didn't truck for a long time to feel a good truck. That's why we're saying the next truck is not out. So, yeah, I did see a dollar amount. Was there a dollar amount there?
The $3,400 is the second amount, there's a second email they sent, we got a lower number.
3,770 was emailed forward. $3,777 was the email that Donnie forwarded this a little while ago.
Yeah, he just sent me a new one.
Sound like we can't move forward with that.
Yeah, he sent me some pictures too.
It's, it's under the $5,000 limit, so I.
I think it might be worth it, but I'm not one to get that call. That's something needs to build from.
He sent me some pictures too, and you could see the corrosion and the flaking of the metal, there's a couple millimeters of corrosion and flaking off on it, just like the rest of the frame kind of is. But,
Got that brand new fancy one?
yeah, so,
Yeah, that's all we.
all right, if it's all right with you guys, we'll go ahead and tell them, go ahead and buy it.
I think that's within your, limit, I'm good with it.
I just thought I'd bring it up.
So it's gonna be needed soon.
Anybody have any other questions about that, or?
Not on that, but on how it works.
Okay, all right.
I spoke with David in regards to SCADA, so he's reached out to try to get the guy here next month. He said you were making some calls, I didn't have a chance to call you this week and asked about that. He said you would reach out to somebody. He thought you were.
No, there was supposed to be, months ago, when Chris and everybody were supposed to get back to us with some sort of plan.
The plan is they have to come out with SAS, so first, he's going to try to get.
I'm really not in the loop on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but
no, yeah, they need their assess before they can advise. So he's going to try to get the guy.
The last I had asked was to get a, some sort of block diagram.
That, and he said it wouldn't cost us anything, so it'd be like giving us a quote. So he should be here next month. Should work, all that stuff. I just wanted to ask you that, he would try to follow up on an alternative or something. And he's got a lot going on, his grandfather just passed,
No.
so he might have misunderstood.
All right, moving on to the wastewater report test. You need to comment on that. All right, moving on to unfinished business. We have on the agenda a motion to discuss and approve the fine forensic audit. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I had that on the other page. So that is pushed down to number 6. And we got comp plan. So we have the agenda, a motion to discuss and approve the comp plan from GWA.
Move to discuss or approve the plan, should do it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to pull up the, oh. Thank you. So, that's,
Oh,
I have a motion.
yeah, we don't really need to make a motion, we'll hear the discussion, and then we can make a motion to approve it. Second.
great. Thanks again for having us. I'm Ashley Sarver. This is Michael Smith. We're in the studio with the village since December of last year on the comprehensive plan. The last plan had been completed back in 2009. So this is a re-up, and it's really encompassing your entire village. So we'll walk through just how to read the plan document. We're not going to go page by page. I know you have other things to talk about tonight, but we'll hit the highlights and, of course, take any questions along the way. So just a quick refresh on a comprehensive plan. Again, this is the 2024 update. It's a 10-year plan projecting forward for the next 10 years. It's a living document, so of course things might change over that 10-year time period, and there might be alterations or amendments that need to take place in the future, but this is our starting point for this data. In terms of the planning process, we began, like I said, in December of last year. We've worked with village and county staff throughout that time. We've met with the Planning and Zoning Commission. I have a couple representatives here tonight, working through the last 4 to 5 months of going through the plan documents, taking recommendations, taking suggestions, and incorporating them into the plan. We also had 2 community engagement sessions, one back in February, which I know some of you were present at that one, and then also in June with a wider public. So as we go through this, you'll see that there's 7 plan elements. We'll walk through all of those. And we also referenced other plans that already exist throughout Boone County, whether it was a local plan, Region 1 Planning Council's plans that have been done in the past, making sure we're implementing and aligning those pieces. So the first section of this is the community profile, and it's really just looking at, tell us the basic facts about Poplar Grove. So we're looking at the demographic profile, which looks at population, age, race, households, and, oh, sorry about that. This graph to the right will show you the annual growth rate of the community. So you can see a big jump there in 2010 and then an evening out in 2020 and a projection of an annual growth rate going forward. We also look at educational attainment, employment, and some of those factors as well. Looking again to the past, we see history with the dark line and then some growth scenarios to the right. A conservative growth scenario would push us to a population of 5,180 by 2032. If we are looking at a higher growth scenario, that would indicate population at 5,390. And again, these are projections and many things can happen, but if we're following kind of historic trends, that's where things look. Household growth rate comparison, just looking at the surrounding area, surrounding communities, you can see that the growth rate was really quite high here in Poplar Grove.
Can I ask a question? Isn't there an outlier in some of that? So should that be noted on that?
In terms of it being higher than the other areas. Yeah, it is a higher growth rate, and that's mostly just due to the lower population. So in terms of having
And really, that's since 09. Nothing. Only is Timber Point.
Yeah, that's just population rate, so the factor is just a smaller number versus the other towns are larger, so.
That there's an outlier, it should be noted there.
Important to distinguish, previous slides were talking about population, and this is just in household, right? There's a distinguishing factor. And then, like, these growth rates are phenomenal, like 0.5% here. The range on population projections, 2 to 0.5, right? So just, I think we're conservative in that range, but yeah, just for some.
Thank you.
Looking at employed population and what industries they're working in and kind of comparing that with Boone County, we see that Poplar Grove has a higher share in the management, business, financial, as well as in the professional categories, whereas on the construction and extraction, there's actually a higher percentage within Boone County than there is here within Poplar Grove. The next section is on land use. So this section looks at the planning area and boundary agreements with other communities, existing land use as it is today, our current zoning, as well as future land use of where things are headed over the next 10 years. So a couple maps here for you, a couple things to call out. Of course, we see existing land use. That lighter green color is agriculture, so that's probably not a surprise that there's a high percentage of agricultural land here, and Michael will talk a little bit more about that in the next slides, followed by single-family residential as the next most used land use category, so single-family residential in the yellow. And you do see the subdivision there to the west. Of course, that's outside of the village boundaries, but just noting the adjacent land uses there. Same with the zoning, it's kind of a variation of the same. Land use is how it is currently used. Of course, zoning is how it is currently zoned. So you see that everything within village boundaries moves to a different category, whether that's single family residential or business or industrial. For the future land use map, it's really combining this information. So The future land use is saying in the next 10 years, these land uses may become more prominent. We are showing also the delineation by school district because there is quite a bit of residential land within both school districts, but you get a sense of where those delineations are and where future growth may be occurring. Throughout this, I'll note the recommendations. At the very end, we go through implementation and go through those recommendations again. But the bolded ones are ones from the consultant team that we identified as priorities. So looking at these, our recommendations are establishing boundary agreements between the Village of Poplar Grove and Caledonia and Timber Lane, reestablishing a boundary agreement with Capron, looking at enhanced non-motorized accessibility between developments, promoting more compact neighborhood design to align with traditional development patterns, to have efficient use of development and resources, and then also to develop a framework for future industrial and business park opportunities. There is an area at 173 and 76 that we identified as an opportunity for a small business or industrial park. It's already commercial in that area, and just with the prevalence and visibility there, that might be a nice spot for it. But there's some framework to put in line to be able to establish that and to make sure that is a net benefit for the community. And we'll talk more about that in the utilities section as well. Turn it over to Michael for this section.
Good evening, everyone. So the agricultural natural resources section includes an overview of existing land cover in the planning area, which is really helpful for distinguishing between both man-made or developed conditions and natural or undeveloped conditions. In this section, we also summarize data related to the county's agricultural and natural resources, which is actually alluded to earlier, are really defining features of the planning area. Oh, down here. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you. So to this slide, a couple things of note in this section, both land cover and natural resources. The first to your left, this illustrates existing land cover and categorizes by type. I know it's kind of a lot to look at, but really what we're trying to distinguish here is land cover versus land use. Of course, the latter is human activity. It's based on a basis for land use planning. This includes both natural characteristics and human constructions built on the land surface. So, short of it, most of what you're seeing here is agricultural, which aligns with the land use map that you saw earlier. We also do show an overview of the watershed, water bodies, wetlands, floodplains, wooded or forested areas that are in the planning area as well, which of course we know is very relevant for future land use planning. To the next slide, this is not a map we created. This is an excerpt from the 2020 Boone County comprehensive plan, but it informs, of course, the future land use map. These are no growth areas that are proposed in that county comp plan. And in this section, really ask for village officials to strive to maintain that balance between all land uses, planning for how land should be developed and, of course, not be developed, and accounting for how agricultural and natural resources should be preserved. I'll say this, there are recommendations that are listed here. We're talking about them in the implementation section at the end. Just a reminder, what we have in bold just indicates a consultant opinion on what should be prioritized. Most of these to your reading for time's sake, but of course, we're happy to talk to any of them now or at the end for presentation. To the next section here, transportation and mobility. This section of the plan spatially examines the transportation network in the planning area. It also includes an overview of travel behavior in the planning area, anticipated capital improvements at the time of the report, an overview of the trail network in the planning area, and then recommendations. So what you see here is functional classification to the left. This is pretty standard fare in a comp plan. What you're going to see here is the class of each roadway as aligning with the national highway system. These are federal conventions, as you probably know. Functional classification is the process by which roadways are grouped into these classes based on the type of service they provide, ranging from access, usually a local street, to mobility, which is going to be like a principal arterial. Not surprising, local streets comprise about 64% of all roadways in the planning area. It's about 100.9 miles or so. And then jurisdictional responsibility. Again, this kind of on its face makes sense that most of your local streets, of course, are under local jurisdiction. Some of your arterials and principal arterials are going to start to scale up to that state level. Again, insofar as the comp plan is just a really helpful reference, we want to make sure we have that baseline information there for you on the transportation front. Also here, just snapshot in time. This is data collected by IDOT to your left on the average annual daily traffic. Your local streets are not included. IDOT does not provide data counts on those. They usually range from 400 vehicles a day up to 1,000, the average local street, that is. So, and of course, they'll scale up to when you see 176 and 173 are going to provide your larger traffic counts there. We also include the existing and proposed trail network here, which I think is important to include. Of course, proposed is always going to show more lines. That's what we aspire to, but I want to include that here as well. Also, other sections that are, or subsections that are not included here in our presentation is going to include vehicle commute trips, and which is important to see like inflow and outflow into the community. There's about 7% of jobs that are in the village that are held by village residents, right? So trips are originating in village boundaries and they're destined to a location in village boundaries. That leaves 93% of village residents who are, originating their trip in the village and then they're commuting elsewhere. That's not surprising, right? That's pretty typical of a community of this size and design. So, as we mentioned, recommendations are listed here. Some of these I will include here: improving use path or sidewalks. This is just to allow people to have other transportation choices. Seniors being able to not have to drive and they just have to go quarter mile, neighborhood, things like that, right? Small local trips. Others, trail improvements, and pursuing other funding sources, which are noted in the plan.
You want us to ask questions as we go, or do you want me to ask?
Sure, yeah.
On the trails, we're not responsible for trails. I was on the phone about the conservation district. Christian and I talked about this earlier today.
Sure.
So the speed bumps and all the trails you mentioned, those are all maintained by the conservation district, not us.
Okay. I don't know if I have that noted as information, so I can delineate that. Yep, thank you.
One note too, just pursuing additional funding, so whether anything else, having this really will help for pursuing additional funding. I think both the federal and state governments have gotten more strict about having a plan in place before applying for. Hopefully this is helpful to that end.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'd love to see West Grove connect to the conservation plan, the bike path that's right there. They're landlocked, they're landlocked.
Yeah.
And the kids are forced to cut down major arteries to go see each other.
Yeah, right.
And then back to Ashley, government, public facilities, and utilities section. So this section of the plan provides just baseline information on key municipal services, facilities in which they operate, and various public and private sector entities. Again, beyond even just the purview of the village. So to that end, we'll include here, this is excerpts from the plan, municipal facilities, recreational facilities, even conservation areas, right? You see the north extent, you see the south extent. We also do include some information on both school districts, including the facilities, the delineation of the school boundaries, enrollment information based on the data that we've been able to access from the district. And it's just good baseline information to have here. Few recommendations that are listed here, and this will be concurrent with housing summary that Ashley will talk about. Just as growth is anticipated, and this has been discussions, with village board, but then also city staff. How do we make sure that there's enough capacity, both in terms of fire, EMS, police, enough public improvement plan that are noted here, but also capacity and the north and south water and sewer storage. So we'll talk about that a little bit later too. So with that, I'm back to you, Ashley.
Thank you. In this section, we looked at housing characteristics, we looked at rent, affordability, current vacancy rates, and projected demand. So here we see just existing housing units by type, Primarily, we see one unit detached, some with attached garage. So there really is, a prevalence of single-family housing. Median rent, we see that increase over time. Rent has increased on average 6.8% year over year since 2013, from $966 a month to $1,602 a month. So at the same time, the annual wage for all industries in Boone County has only increased by an average of 2.5%. So again, 6.8% increase in rent, but only a 2.5% increase in wages. So that's just kind of an indicator of affordability and how people are experiencing the burden of housing costs. Looking regionally at comparison of vacancy rates, you can see that Poplar Grove is at the low end of that, really low vacancy, indicating really some demand. Healthy vacancy is really closer to that 6%. So having additional housing units on board will be very helpful. I understand that there's been a few starts yet this year already. So good to see that progress. And then just the trends there to your right in terms of vacancy. This is a lot of chart, but we spent a lot of time in this section looking at current subdivided vacant parcels that have already been subdivided out, and looking at them by neighborhood. Where is that availability? And we pulled those out in particular because they're low-hanging fruit. They're the easy ones to step into and see housing development on, because that infrastructure is already in place. Of note there, on the right, you'll see we divided it by water and sewer service territory, and I think Chris from McMahon for assistance with this of looking at these different territory areas. So this shows the current projections of housing units that could be developed and comparing that with the current capacity. So the one that really sticks out is really the North Plants wastewater service area. The current capacity only allows for 428 units, and we're using that on an average daily usage of 350 gallons a day per household. But there's 930 units that could be developed. So you see we have really only capacity for 428 to serve, but 930 that could be developed. And that's just the housing. So if industrial or additional commercial comes online there, that would be an additional competition for that use. So that kind of, again, ties back into our suggestion in the utilities of doing a full facilities plan so that things like this, as they come along, we have a plan in place for as development comes underway.
You'll also see in the subdivided vacant parcels by neighborhood table, there are some subdivisions where you might say, I don't know that subdivision. And these are just names because there's not a formal neighborhood in place yet. So it's either pulled off like an adjacent street or like the name of a parcel, like Quail Trap, for example. So, we do note that in the plan, just we needed to make sure that that cell was based off of something adjacent or familiar.
Carrie, we did add, so that area by Quail Trap, for those two parcels that do have infrastructure but have not been subdivided, you'll see the asterisk there.
Yes.
So it's included. It doesn't have the roadway network, but it does have the infrastructure. So just noted there with a projection of about how many units we could expect there, which is 180. These maps really show more of the same, and this is going to be helpful for anyone coming to town looking to where they could or should build a house, of seeing where those subdivided parcels are. And again, we see them here and then just categorized by neighborhood on the right. So recommendations here is just really working with that contractor network for building on those existing subdivisions, developing an email outreach campaign to invite them to visit Poplar Grove, charting out approval path for contractors, making it easy for people to step in and build, and then identifying and approving which lots and subdivisions might be developed for duplex and fourplex housing units. There was some interest and discussion in our community sessions of seeing some apartments brought into the mix for affordability for people who are just moving to the neighborhood or are going to be working in nearby areas. Continuing those recommendations, you can see those here. Last one in particular, this one came out in discussion as well. A feasibility study for housing for people over age 55 to determine demand. There's interest in some senior living, whether that's assisted living or it's just age identified with 55 and over. There's interest in seeing if there is a demand here for that. And this is our economic development section. We're nearly there. This shows your economic profile, your visitor data, unmet demand for industry and regional context. So just looking at a 10-mile radius of unmet demand, and this is based off of placer data. It shows a demand, probably the one that stands out the most is the building materials and supply dealers. Second behind that would be automotive parts, accessories, and tire stores. So what that indicates is, within a 10-mile radius, there's a demand for that is not met. To the right, looking at number of businesses by industry, currently we see in construction, other services, which is, broad, and you can see the breakdown here. Visits per day, this shows throughout the year. Of course, it looks a little higher in the summer months, but otherwise your peaks there for visits, really based on holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, with a couple other exceptions. We probably have some boost there in the fall as well from the orchard and the pumpkin patch. Showing there. And daily visit trends, the weekend is the day to visit. We're seeing highest on Saturday, Sunday. So recommendations here is to identify all available commercial property and post it on a map on city website or village website for zoning and preferred uses. Meeting with contractors who already have a shopper office here to maybe grow on that or offer complementary business. Working with growth dimensions, again for the enterprise zone as well.
Can you go back a slide?
Yeah.
So I don't know what groups organized itself this percent downtown. And Christy and I spoke about this.
Yeah, when we did one of the community sessions, that I understood that there was a group that was doing baskets or doing something to improve downtown already. Is that?
Apron used to here and there, but I don't know anybody else around the area that do any flowers and anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that was just a one-off comment then that we.
Capering's done it here and there, and their social clubs, the Lions Club, and Capering has done flowers. I would say businesses here and there, but not anything here that I know
Nothing currently organized for
of.
that.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I can check that too with community input. Just to see if there's any clarity or ways to refine that or oral.
Yeah.
Well, mine's long gone. It's now digital, which doesn't work very well.
Okay. Yeah, and I suppose a recommendation then would change if it's not in existence of, can we see a group form that would be regular or consistent enough to keep up with some type of maintenance, even if it was minimal, like flower baskets or something that just is a nice aesthetic draw for the area. This one on the hotel feasibility study, there was quite a bit of conversation around that, looking around once on 76 and then around the airport. The question is really, is there demand for executive travel that would be triggered either by the airport or agritourism from the orchard and the pumpkin patch? And so hotel feasibility study is recommended. And then just looking at the implementation, this is the final section. It's the last few pages of the plan document, and really the goal is for that to be able to kind of stand alone. It reiterates other text that's found in the plan document, but really just breaks it down into quick strategies, potential partners, potential funding sources for this, whether they're state grants, federal grants, or local funds, and then a projected timeline. And within this and discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commission, the other recommendation is to see a task force, or I don't know if it needs to be a full commission, but of interested folks who would want to see this plan go through implementation to help identify these priorities and identify priorities amongst these recommendations. So that was a suggestion as well. Any other questions?
No, I have a list.
So, I'm on the task force for the Boone County's redoing their comprehensive plan, so will you work with them? I know you said you looked at their 2021, but do you think anything will change when they come out with theirs that you would recommend?
And I haven't had discussions with them to know which direction they're headed. Jessica, I know you've been involved with that process, and she's been, kind of our liaison, so maybe you can speak to any
As it relates to
projections
the
there.
county comprehensive plan, I'm here on behalf of the village planning commission and the sheriff, and they've asked me to be in attendance in the event that they had any questions with regard to this process. But as it relates to the county comprehensive plan, of course, yes, we've been in consultation with them, and usually when we have these types of plans, the idea is to utilize them together and work together and hopefully match them up.
Because I know there's been
That's our
some changes.
intent.
Yeah,
Right.
the county side, so
The village side, on the county side, it's our
sure
intent.
that, they kind of marry up together.
That's the way they all work better together.
Yeah, not having seen that, not having seen that plan just yet, as it is underway, but as we look at those recommendations and then identify which ones should be prioritized, that would be a good check-in time to just check against that plan, if those align, and if there's one that's gonna be stronger because they both identify it as a priority, so you pull it together.
Right on.
So, Chris and I spoke in detail on the survey today. On page 44, there's a comment in there, promote the role of agriculture and agritourism via the Boone County Fair and other related event opportunities. And I kind of agree with her on this. I mean, we have less than 1% farmland in Village Poplar.
Yeah, a lot of the discussion with the community groups, and I would say it came out most during our June session with folks, was about the desire to maintain the rural character of the area and really promote the rural nature. So whether it's within the village boundaries itself or it's just the surrounding area, that people find kind of pride in that character. And really agritourism could be a number of different things. There was discussion about whether that's a bed and breakfast that just happens to be, with a field in the back, or if that's an event space in a barn, or if that's, hotels then that help capture the demand from the surrounding area.
I mean, there's something whole wonderful side. Came from Chicago, and I knew everything about cows on it, but I didn't know about nice milk, so it showed me the process there.
Yeah.
Just moved out, so it's great. I just know that.
Yeah, that was kind of the reference back. It's really capitalizing on the business opportunities that are tied to it within the village boundaries, even if they aren't directly, related to dairy or, production of crops.
Okay. We talked about the trails, minor, page 61 is missing Manchester Park.
Oh.
We have a lot of undeveloped parks, so
You said page 16.
yes.
Thank you.
So the figures for enrollment, what she sent me and what we're looking at was incorrect on schools listed for the figure for 53 enrollment changes. I can email this,
Okay.
screenshot to you guys.
Nothing offhand, I think there could have been an update. I think we created that table 7-8 months ago, but there also could be new data out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
we
we
did
could
that by drawing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the subdivisions being, because Cobblestone Park is Dawson Creek, but that's not probably how it was listed on things to look at. This is it's just really kind of getting deep into the definition of something about affordable single-family homes on large lots. But like you said, this is living, breathing document. If something makes sense and it's presented, you can change those things.
Certainly, yeah, and again, it's a 10-year plan, but you might want to do an overall 5-year update of just reevaluating things.
Yeah, and something could,
Or piece by piece.
yeah, something could come up. makes a lot more sense for apartments here, and we'll change the zoning issues, go through all that. Just something minor about it. It's all in there. I'll get these emailed to you.
Okay.
So,
Sure, that'd be great.
I had one question. You had touched on the industrial 76 and 173.
Let's see if I can jump right back to that.
Northwest corner.
Yeah,
The only issue there is there's no water, so.
yeah,
Talk
so
about
that
Gold
would
Stop
be,
Road corner.
Yeah, we did a study.
I see this study. It's got some kind of road, a little bit of top road there.
2017, it was right as that was one of my first
It
meetings.
was, and it was like, I don't know, $8 million or something.
Just-
So it's not shovel ready.
No, there's, well, I mean, whatever business you think with there that work with a sell, a well and septic. I mean,
And-
there are some gas stations and stores that don't have a whole lot of water, they could go
Yeah.
there, but I mean, as far as putting a big industry there, I mean, I think we could do that without water and sewer, and that's probably $20 million.
And it's not even that. I thought that maybe Dawkins might know more of this. I thought that eventually there were the turning lanes in at that intersection, and those lanes are gonna be pushed back.
The there's already,
What's
there's
that?
Yeah, you're right, there's a long way.
there's a plan, but the cemetery's in the way, and so it's probably gonna shift that way. So
Yeah, that's like,
the state already owns part of that.
yeah, well, I know, I've seen their trucks out there, I thought the state might have bought that corner, because I've seen the IDOT trucks there more than once, and I've seen them store gravel there. And then, like I said, I heard years ago rumors of that getting turning lanes, so.
Yeah, the long
The other
way,
two sides are Caledonian, so they're kind of dependent on one corner, so I just started to bring it up, that's what I thought you were talking about. But yeah, I think there's bigger.
yeah,
areas that not getting developed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, the long future plans, if IDOT does any of that, is if they bought off the easements north and south, was the Moonlight restaurants gonna move to the back. Because that was gonna be Tier Point now, I think, the state's money again, so.
and that's another, one of those pieces of, for a developer wanting to come in, they have to understand that there are gonna be some restrictions there, yeah. So it's not necessarily a,
Just to know, that's with the facilities plan, that you have recommendation, that's basically what that would cover. Detailing out those details so that you could go to the potential developer, give them those expectations, and it has to be identified somewhere.
if you have other thoughts that come up, after tonight's meeting, please feel free to email us. Carrie has our email address, and we'd be happy to take additional suggestions or comments and incorporate those into the plan document and turn it back around to you.
Nice job. Well done.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you all. It's really, I've gotten to know Poplar Grove quite well in the last 9 months, and it's been just a really great community to work with. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's your
I'm gonna forward this email to Carrie, who's forward to you.
So, based on questions and everything, we're are we taking any action on this tonight, or are we just going to?
Maybe get an update, and then you guys want to come back, and we should update everything else, and we'll move it. Or we all take a look at it together. We can maybe red line, or know what we've talked about.
And then we have to file, okay,
The columns.
with the county.
I don't know that process. I know
Yes.
it's approved.
And for the plan document itself, we have, there's a couple blank pages kind of in the front, just where we left it, or we would input the copy of the ordinance that adopts the plan, so that it's all contained together.
Yeah, so that would probably be creating, bundling that with the agenda whenever they're ready. But I think anything could be turned around fairly quickly, incorporated in the plan, so.
And then you wouldn't have to come back out and take a look at the notes, and sort of talk about the next month, just.
Sure.
We see that again, going into the.
Okay, then. Move on to the new item, which is we have on the table a motion to discuss Final forensic audit report.
We just discussed, right? That's what you.
We've done a lot of discussion on this, so it was suggested that we just bring it up for a vote.
Thought the email said a vote to accept it, but there's some.
Well, you have a choice. I mean, I think a motion to receive it is one way of doing it. If you wanted to make a motion to accept it, that might imply people's views about it. So I suggested one possibility perhaps is simply to receive it.
Well, I'd like to discuss just a couple items in here.
That's fine.
On page 31, it reference 22 IML built-in charge for someone operating the room. There's 3 bills in here. One bill's mine, one bill's Betsy's. It says operated room, with both Betsy and I used our own funds or points to do that. Is there somewhere in here where someone operated the room in charge? I don't see that in the receipts.
The only other one is Carrie.
Here, does it say upgrade? I couldn't miss it. Was that room that you paid for that yourself?
Course, upgrade, there's no rooms left.
Okay. So I guess that's it's true then. And then the page 81, when we discussed this, when we were going through this, but I thought,
It's reserved, this is the reservation, and the reservation says it's a superior room.
is that an upgrade? I don't know.
So that's all that was left. Then
I was
for
looking
two
at the
different
receipts, because the receipts said upgraded, but yours and mine said we paid our own. So then I don't know if Superior is upgraded or not. Okay, so then I guess that would be interesting, I missed it. And then on page 81, I thought we discussed this pretty much. I thought we had decided that we did have the proper number of votes to do the approval.
Well, under your own ordinance, you don't. Under state law, you do. So one of the things that if I understand it correctly, one of the things I suggested is that there be another vote, is that I would prepare an ordinance that would change your code to meet what is state statutes. Again, I mean, I think.
Was it just an old code that we adopted? Because we did a lot of copy and paste way back when, because there were none of these ordinances in place.
I've never seen a situation like that before, so it must have been
We must copy and
taken
paste.
from
We did a
somewhere
lot.
else. But I think in order to do this absolutely correctly, I will prepare an ordinance to make your code the same as state law. And I think what they say is correct, and I don't think it's a serious error and it's easily correct.
Right, and on page 91, it references that we're violating the Article 8 of the Illinois Constitution, and the village attorney suggested that we did this as well. I talked with the attorney, and this is
Page 91,
4. Sorry.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, page 94. But this references people getting gifts in exchange for contracts or jobs, and the attorney said we didn't violate this. They didn't say that we violated it. The statement says, the village attorney informed us that it also violates Article 8 of the Illinois Constitution. She suggested the village may be able to forward out the profit to carry out this mission. Talking to Stewart, he said he sent a memo to them saying it didn't violate this, and they didn't say that.
No, you're correct. That's one reason why I suggest that perhaps you just receive it rather than approve it.
There is an argument and a question that can be made on both sides of that issue. I think what Carrie Lynn was told was not the full level of facts. So that's one of the reasons I'm suggesting that you simply receive it. I would say that from my standpoint, what I've learned about it doesn't violate state law.
And your firm didn't say that to them.
I believe that Carrie Lynn, in fact, when it was described to her in a certain way, felt that that might be an issue. But I looked at it further and I don't believe it is.
What's the difference between what she was told and what you're told? You're talking in circles here. What's the difference?
Well, it's a difference of whether, in fact, individual trustees, in fact, are receiving money somehow independently from consultants and using that money, knowledge or contact with the village to basically give gift baskets to people as if it was a gift basket from that person. And I don't believe that that's happened.
Like you said, there's two sides to the story. So, what would the gift baskets for?
For the needy.
What's that? The needy.
The needy. We
donate money
used
for
to
meals.
contract with the school and the senior center. They'd give us names and addresses, and we would get donations from trustees, local businesses, vendors, and we would put together. food
So it
baskets.
wasn't to contractors, it wasn't to,
Nope.
you know,
Nope.
sign for bids, that kind of thing, you know.
We bought 10 to 15 meals for Thanksgiving and Christmas for the last decade to people in need in this community, and we're not doing it this year.
We're not doing it this year.
Nope.
The Northfield School is still doing it. People that still get their donations. They're just not giving them to Poplar Grove to do.
The school was very disappointed that we were unable to help them with their needs.
Because it was more appropriate for a charitable organization to actually do
I don't think
not elected officials. And soliciting donations from vendors.
So how many meals, I guess I'm confused, meals would give out baskets.
Baskets of meals.
Baskets of food, and stuff like that.
We would collect donations.
So how many baskets did we give out?
15 was the most I've ever done. All over the, I mean, there was a family down in Prairie Brain.
What was the going rate, about $3,000, I think?
I don't recall, I didn't handle that part of it.
All
I just helped collect what we needed for a goal. I brought it back here, the checks were sent here, the money was brought here, we got the food, put it together, fellowshipped, and then we loaded up our cars.
And there were a lot of questions about the accounting of that was the big deal. The money coming in, unaccounted for by where it came from, what it was for,
That's not usually.
and where and how it was spent, and that kind of was
I got a
counted.
receipt every time I turn cash. I got a receipt every time I turn cash.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd like to move to receive the report.
all right. We got a motion to receive the report on the table
I'll
here.
second.
And we got a second.
I have a question.
And, what's the question, and now I'll have a roll call vote.
Can you hear me, Ken?
Yes.
You got another question?
Okay, I just want to make sure because Bruce, you said I think you misunderstood. You said there was some purchases in there that you seen for alcohol. Was that clarified to everyone that no taxpayer dollars paid for alcohol at the IML meetings?
That had nothing to do with any packages.
No, I'm talking about the report.
Last week, the last meeting, you made a comment about we were getting shots, drinking.
Shots and drinking on
That
taxpayer
was
dollars.
on some report at hotel.
That was a receipt.
That had nothing to do with these baskets.
There's a receipt in here that I didn't bring up, but there is a receipt in here, but it's a receipt for a group outing.
Right.
And Eric Miller turned in his expense sheet for
Right.
only his food portions of that.
Right.
But it was spread around the community that alcohol was purchased. And that was an
But then
incorrect
you said that he was put on his own private credit card.
Yep, and he only turned in his expense report, which was 4 pages back. There was no alcohol in that expense
So
report.
that expense report doesn't match the receipt, so.
Of course it does.
So the receipt doesn't have an expense report associated.
Of course it doesn't, it was a group, that was his portion, he wrote on that receipt which portions were his.
The numbers don't add up.
So Don, why don't you take a minute, sit down with Karina and explain to you and show to you, as opposed to making a false accusation that you like to make.
I've already-
Bruce, I just want you to
Let's just move the roll call vote to see. I'm not gonna argue with anyone, Mr. Bivens.
to understand that no tax dollars are being paid back for alcohol. It's just more false accusations, so I'm just asking that clarified so that Bruce doesn't think. Now, you say it doesn't match up, but are you willing to take the time and come in and sit down with her and have her show you everything? You did your forensic audit, and obviously it wasn't good enough, so we had to hire and spend $25,000 plus another $20,000 to $30,000 in labor. We're talking almost 50 grand for this audit, where all they're telling us to do, there's no stealing, there's no mischief, oh, we need to put some things in place. This is ridiculous. This is a waste of taxpayer dollars. And people need to know how you have mishandled their money. I'm sorry, but it's upsetting. And now the time to talk about it. We need to put the truth out so you don't keep spreading false rumors. It gets old. You lied to the public and you lied to everyone else. You hired these people and wasted almost $50,000 between your audit and the forensic audit from Greece. We had to pay them. And I voted no for it because I knew what was going to happen. It was a witch hunt.
Can I respond? Can
Yeah,
I respond?
go ahead.
We found a lot of good things that we needed to look at here, like expense reports, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, policies and procedures that need to be dealt with, the way you can track it back, authorizations to rent a vehicle, authorizations with hotels, that kind of stuff. So a lot of that stuff did come out forward, was worth the money, we did.
It wasn't worth the money. We've been talking about putting procedures in place for almost 3 years, and you know.
But it never got done.
I'm gonna work, Mr. President. We've already had a discussion, we got a motion and a second, let's get this done.
We have a motion to call a question here. We've already got a motion to make the vote, so you're out of order, Mr. Goins. You're out of order, so, roll call vote, please.
Clarification from Stewart.
Well, Mr. President, it's within your power to call for a vote. That's the appropriate thing to do.
Is there a chance I can just get clarification on accepting, what the definition of accepting this report?
Receiving it.
Receiving.
Receiving it.
Stuart already defined what receiving it means.
Explain it again, please, Mr. Attorney.
It means that you asked for this report to be done and that you are receiving it, and it'll be available to the public, and the public can review it, and people can then do whatever they want in relationship to the report. So I think that's an appropriate, proper motion.
Why would we not have it?
All right, roll call vote, please.
Why would we not have it?
Betsy Straw,
Yes.
Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Dan Sheets,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
No,
Austin Davies,
Yes.
Jeff Goins.
All right, we got 4 yes votes and 2 no votes. The motion to receive the audit report passes.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd like to move to expel Mr. Blankenship.
we have a good second on that.
Thank you.
We have a motion to expel Mr. Goins for being disorderly again, and a second by Betsy. Roll call vote on expelling Mr. Goins.
Betsy,
Nice job, Betsy. You're the accountant.
Betsy Straw, yes. Austin Davies,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
No.
Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Bruce Moore.
Yes.
All right, we have 4 yeses and 1 no. And you are expelled, Mr. Goins. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye. All right, moving on to, let's see, we did number 9 fair, and then we did, have an hour onto the actual, hold 6 here. We have, oh yes, okay. We have on the agenda a motion to discuss and approve ordinance 2024-16, an ordinance of the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, amending Title II, Chapter 3 of the Village of Poplar Grove Code of Ordinances regarding peddlers, hawkers, and solicitors. And I think we talked briefly about the edit to a couple of words in there about all people versus.
I can speak to that.
Yes.
And the ordinance in the agenda packet didn't reflect the most recent revision for the attorney emailing the trustees. And that revision should be reflected as to amend the version that's in the agenda packet. Number 3 of that ordinance, 3A, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, it starts out by saying audience with the occupant thereof and or engage the business solicitor. The amendment that I requested and I believe the village attorney is recommending is to change where it says and/or, strike the /or and add the word to, so that that line would read audience with the occupant thereof and to engage in the business of solicitor. And that just clarifies the intent and the application of the ordinance so that it wouldn't be a finable offense to go to your neighbor's house before 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or go there after 7 or 8 p.m. Go there before 8 a.m. or go there after 7 p.m. to get their attention to talk to them, for example, would be an absurd result the way this was previously worded with the and/or. So that's how the ordinance should be.
And I agree with that.
All right, and did we edit it? Was this just kind of a scrivener's thing, or was this an actual motion?
I would-
Be a second.
I would move, if need be, to amend the version of the ordinance in the agenda packet to conform with what I just mentioned. The 3A, the 4th line down, /or be stricken, and the word to be inserted between and engage.
Okay, so
I'll second.
we have a motion to do that by Austin, and second by Owen. And so the motion is to approve
It's to
the
approve
ordinance
with that change.
with that change on the floor. So we could take a roll call vote to approve ordinance 2024-16 with the 3A, 4 lines down, striking the slash between the and or, and inserting the to. So we can just have a roll call vote on that then.
Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Betsy Straw, yes. Dan Cheek,
Yes.
Austin Davies,
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
The ordinance as amended is approved. Moving on to the item number 7 on the list, we have the agenda motion to discuss and approve the code red contract. We passed that around in emails. I know the attorney Stewart here has commented on that, and we're kind of the email consensus was kind of ready.
Sorry, we moved to approve the contract.
Okay.
Your exchange.
Anybody have any discussion on it, or beyond what we saw? Okay.
Was everything
Exciting.
Okay. All right, then, we got a motion to approve it by Owen. We have a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Bruce.
Second by Bruce.
One item, you're talking with Ann, so I was asked the question, what if I don't have email or want to get a visible call out as well?
Yeah, just text, email, and landline call.
Okay, roll call vote then to approve.
Bruce Moore.
Yes.
Betsy Straw. Yes. Austin Davies.
Yes.
Dan Sheik.
Yes.
Owen Costanzo.
Yes.
Corporate contract.
Nice job, Dan.
We'll then sign that and pass it along. I don't know if I gotta do that here tonight or if I think there was a digital signing on in the email for that.
There was an e-doc, but I think, he said you could print it, and the first time before it all went to paper, he said you could
Yeah, I printed it.
print it, fax it back, or, I mean, scan it back.
I printed it, I'll just get it after the meeting.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. All right, moving on to new business. Item number 8, we have on the agenda a motion to discuss and approve a final audit by Lauterbach and Ahmed. Are they going to,
She's coming in via Zoom, she could not make it,
okay,
so let me start her up.
Silver? We'll find Silver.
No, it's,
This was received and commented on at the last meeting. Is that trying to get her electronically?
She wants me to zoom in.
Oh,
yeah, I just can't,
so the real question is, were there anyone had any questions?
There's a lot there. They kind of incorporated some of the, I talked to her briefly this afternoon, and she had told me briefly some highlights. She saw the audit, the forensics audit, and commented that some improvements we could make from that. And there was a couple of things suggested in there, a couple of questions. I tried to go through it as much as I could this afternoon before I got here. Yeah, you keep working on that, and we'll move on to the next item. Item number 10, we have on the agenda a motion to discuss and approve the FOIL order credit request for 306 Oak Street. Some of the
Yeah, staff,
requests.
yeah, staff called me, they had someone request a change, but they went back, I think the district's in the packet somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't see a dollar amount that requested.
Well, they're looking for a sewer credit? The way I understood that,
They were looking for credit, yeah, for running water, but staff called me and they said they didn't see much of a difference, and I said, well, they asked for it, so put it in the board packet. I maybe we just don't take any
they
action
look
on it. I
pretty
didn't,
consistent on the bills.
yeah, that's what they called me and didn't know what to do, so I didn't want them to be the ones to tell them, they could just I don't see action taken. It looked pretty similar on the
They
average.
weren't asking for anything either.
But we told them we were looking at their average usage.
Oh.
It's what we had said in the meeting, and we said we'd just fill out the pool credit. So office would look at it and see, they didn't see anything, it didn't look like a change.
I prefer we move to approve it than deny it.
Okay.
So I make that motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we got a motion to approve it.
And then we just vote it down. Austin's right.
Oh, okay, got
Austin's
it.
right.
All right.
Yeah, he moves to approve and then voting affirmative for the next.
Okay. Right, there's nothing to.
We'll just deny credit.
Gotcha.
We didn't know what to put, because there wasn't
There wasn't
any.
there wasn't a difference, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was nice to come here and
Okay.
staff doesn't get yelled at.
So we got a motion by Austin, and second by Owen, and we'll roll call vote
Owen Costanza.
No.
Dan Cheek.
No.
Austin Davies.
No.
Bruce Moore.
No.
Betsy Strauss. No.
on it.
Well, that's do one.
So the motion to approve oil credit request for 306 Oak Street does not pass. Are we on that?
Yes, we are. I finally got it.
We shall move back to item number 8 with a lot of. Hi, Jen. All right. Can you get on the?
Otherwise I lose speakers.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I am Jennifer with Payment here to present the audit results for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2024. I do want to start by thanking Karina for all her hard work during the audit process. It really is a 6-month process from when we had our first planning meeting together to presenting for the board this evening. So we certainly appreciate all of the time that is spent preparing for the audit and working through that process with us to ensure that it can go smoothly. So huge thanks to the team. As the board knows, an audit is required to be completed in 6 months of the village's fiscal year end by an independent auditor. And really the goal of the audit is for us as your auditors to be able to provide an opinion on the financial statements that are presented this evening. So we have done that. We have issued an unmodified opinion, which is a clean audit opinion. That is the highest opinion that we can issue, and it really just means that the financial statements are materially correct or do in fact accurately represent the financial position of the village of Poplar Grove. So the most important piece of information here is we do have a clean audit opinion. I know there's a lot of information in the report in front of you, so as I do each year, I'll try to key areas for the board to focus on. The first being what we call the MD&A, or management's discussion and analysis, which is going to be right up front there, starting on page 10 of the audit report. So this is really the executive summary to the audit. It's a narrative summary of all of that financial information that follows. It's really going to highlight some key information for the year. It'll have some information on changes from the prior year to the current fiscal year. You'll see some visuals on some information for the village as well. So just really a good place to spend your time. It takes this almost 100-page report and really summarizes it nicely in 10 easy to read pages. So I certainly encourage you to spend your time there. If you read just that section, that'll take a very good understanding of the entire report. So that again is on page 10. Just to touch overall for the village, governmental funds did see an increase in fund balance, so an increase in your revenues over expenditures of approximately $240,000, with ending fund balance across those governmental funds of $4.5 million, of which about $2.3 million of that is in your general or your operating fund. Additionally, I did want to point out on page 68 there towards the back of the audit report, you will find your budgetary comparison schedule. So if the board wanted to spend some time reviewing the budget comparison to actual, that's where you would start and see more of that detail for your expenditures and revenues. And then finally, one more piece of information for you all to take a look at is really that last page there, page 85. You're going to see
10 years of trend information for property taxes, so kind of cool to have that stuff there in the back with that trending information for you all. That's we do also provide a quality management letter, which is where recommendations, upcoming standards, we feel is important to communicate before. So we just have two current year recommendations that were added here. So the capital replacement fund budget, which you can see the management response there for the reason for that piece. So not necessarily a negative per se, but required communication on our end to just make sure the board is aware of any funds that will the budget. And then additionally, we did add a recommendation for the board and the village as well to put in place a more formal credit card purchasing policy as well. The remaining recommendations, our prior recommendations had some updates, so no change to your capture. I know that's something that's been analyzed year after year and still working through. There were two GASB for governmental accounting standards board statements that we worked through this year that did not have an impact on the village's financial statements, so there's nothing to implement for those after review. And then you'll see the very last two are upcoming standards. They're already in the hundreds now, statements that we're having to work through. So those are coming next year. We'll look together again, as we always have, to determine if there's any impact to the financial statements as well. But really, overall, we have a clean audit opinion. There were no difficulties or disagreements with management during the audit process. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for me this evening.
What page was the overage on?
What page is the overage on, so I can pull it up for them?
That was the management letter page. It's a little document.
Yeah, I mean, that's recommendation, that's like you said, it was in here where
Yeah, let me pull it up.
it was, so,
$74, did you say?
I have it here on the screen.
PDF page 78, if that helps you carry.
yeah, I was trying to find, I seen it in recommendations, and I thought I heard it say it was in the file itself. I just wanted to look at it.
So there's reference to GASB in here and items that may or may not pertain to us. Does Waterdock also work with Karina on upcoming GASB changes and notify her? Or do you just expect her to know those? Does Waterdock provide anything like that?
Yes, so we always look at the management letter just to make sure everybody is aware of what's coming. See the next two coming up at 100 and 101. And we provide client trainings for any new standards. So we will be sending out some communication to all clients, including Karina here, for these upcoming standards. So 100 is pretty simple. That's mostly on our end in terms of financial reporting, but 101 related to compensated absences and reporting. We will need to work closely with Karina on what that looks like, as we do every year.
Okay. And would you suggest that they attend something, or will you just work with them on it? I mean, if some of these GASB changes can be quite, require, pretty in-depth knowledge.
Yes, they get very complicated. When we have our client training, we can certainly send it along, and if the board wanted to encourage that Karina attend that, I do believe Karina can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe she has attended some of our client webinars in the past on these upcoming standards. And then we also create, we call them cheat sheets, so we have a slew of client resources that we will start sending out in the first part of next year.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
No, we're still here. They're reading.
It's good, the smoke's not here.
Yeah.
So if I look at the bottom line here, it looks like the general fund, have had a net increase over last year. Is that correct? Am I interpreting this right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, now we moved over to capital improvements. What's the surplus? Earlier this year?
Sounds familiar.
Miscellaneous, is that the poker machines?
Um,
The 119,672 miscellaneous. I just wonder if that was the gambling machine.
What page are you looking at?
28.
What line did you ask?
No, miscellaneous at 119,672 on page 28. Was that, I just wonder if that was the gambling machines or not.
It's revenue.
Oh, it's
Yeah, revenue. I said it's kind of like the going rate, I think, for the poker machines.
It is kind of back, we're like at 128. Rita, do you know what that?
You know what the miscellaneous line is?
What else could it be? Because
Well, we got some litigation. We also
yeah.
got some, another couple settlements, and we got some insurance proceeds from the truck that was damaged. That's what that is.
So then, if it's not in there, it's the intergovernmental, it's where the,
The intergovernmental is the, that we got from, that is the notes,
revenue from the notes.
right, that we transferred from the,
So then where is?
Yeah. I can get back to you for sure, but I do believe that that should be in your intergovernmental line item.
Yeah, it's Rita's,
Yeah. No, let me go back and look into that in more detail. I can't access our accounting software without giving you this call, unfortunately.
not a pressing issue, I just thought it was the miscellaneous.
It might be. Let me take a look. We have a review report that runs into the summarized.
I can look it up on the state website.
Exactly what goes in there.
That was more of a curiosity.
it was right around $100,000.
I said I can look it up. I was just curious.
Make a motion to approve the final audit.
Second?
All right, I got a motion on the table to approve the
Second.
Lauterbach and Hammond audit. Boston, and second by Owen. And, do a roll call, please.
Bruce Horn.
Yes.
Betsy Straw.
Yeah,
Austin Davy.
Yes.
Dan Sheet.
Yes.
Tom Costanza.
Yes.
The final audit by Lauterbach and Hammond has been approved. Let's see, item number 11.
All right, you're all set, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
All right, item number 11, we got a motion on the table here to discuss
or approve risk management proposal from Illinois County's Risk Management Trust. First time I saw this, it's our insurance policy.
Yeah, it's back on 12/1, so we make the motion.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, this is pretty common though.
They don't give us a lot of
Well,
turnaround.
because we can't move unless we give them a 90-day warning, so we can't move. And I thought the rates held steady, it should have been
Yeah, the only thing was the new Public Works building that made, you know,
that was,
Did we review all the values to be correct for any updated values of everything?
well, they come in and they assess the values. And they were here, they went over it with David as far as all
they
the,
come up almost every other year.
Okay.
They have a whole risk management team, and then we have access to safety things. I know David's been taking advantage of.
Okay.
Did it spike as badly as other property insurance?
No, because this is different. So this is a private group. So this is a pool, so it's not part of like our home or auto spend. So these are management pools, they know what they're doing. And there's about 4 or 5 of them in our state. So Gallagher has one, Liberty has one. We're too small for those. We'd like to see $500,000 premiums, and those are the bigger pools. Liberty too, and where we're at, it's not really Liberty, but IPMG, we fit that niche for them. These smaller communities. Illinois Public Risk Fund is not only, Gallagher manages all those claims. Less our deductible. And they mitigate.
All right,
We approved it since we expired on first.
all right.
We're not meeting again until then.
We got a motion by Owen to approve and a second by Austin. And are there any other questions? Roll call vote.
Owen Costanza.
Yes.
Dan Cheek.
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Bruce Moore.
Yes.
Betsy Strong.
Jen?
Our risk management proposal from Illinois County's Risk Management Trust has been approved. We have, moving on to good of the village, planning and zoning meeting is November 1st.
21st.
Oh, 21st, I'm sorry. 21st is over, which is tomorrow, the 21st at 6 p.m. Christmas tree lighting is November 23rd at 4 p.m. Village Hall is closed on Thanksgiving, November 28th and 29th. Board trustee meeting next time is December 11th at 7 p.m. and then December 18th at 7 p.m. We have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Owen, second. I think I heard Bruce again,
Oh,
right before Betsy, I don't
I don't know.
know. Okay.
We have the right scissors.
Voice vote, those in favor to adjourn.
Aye.
Against. We are adjourned.
Yep. This one has been an ongoing one. That is, it's just about, you know, so what happened next year, they were going to develop this group. Make some of Management seemed like pretty busy.
That's tough.
Bad contracts.